Hey everybody, welcome back, and it's good to be back. This is the first video I've shot now since I've returned from Poland, and I will recap that quickly, and then let's move on into a little upgrade that we did for this Paradigm Reference Studio 20. So, like I said, this is the first video I've shot since I've been back. Even though you guys saw several videos while I was gone, I shot those videos prior to leaving. Poland was nice. The people there were exceptionally nice, and Turin was a beautiful place to visit. I was also surprised that as soon as I got off of the airplane in Warsaw, before I could even get to baggage claim, one of you guys recognized me over there and came up to me and said, "Ooh, you do the loudspeaker kit upgrades, and you're from GR Research." And I appreciate that. That was a pleasant surprise to get just right after landing. So thank you, all of you guys over there who watch my videos, and I appreciate it a lot. I tried lots of interesting foods, saw lots of beautiful architecture, had a great time at the competition. This is my first international competition. I'm still recovering from a thigh injury. I wasn't 100%, but I was 95%. And first race, the first prelim, I won, top two in each group. Will then advance to the semifinal. So I automatically advanced to the semifinal. In the semifinal, I was in a group with the guys that won gold and silver. So it was a tough group. I got third, so I didn't automatically advance to the final. It had to go by times. And by times, myself and one of the Frenchmen ran the exact same time. So we were both tied for eighth on the bubble, and they had to go to the third decimal over, and when they did that, he edged me out by 0.001 seconds. So I didn't make the final, so that was a little disappointing, but considering there were 60-something competitors there in a world championship, to get to that point was still pretty nice. If I'd have made it to the final, I would have probably been sixth or seventh. I mean, it was a tough group of guys, and I was not 100%, but I'll be back, and there's more track meets coming, so I look forward to all of that stuff. Now, let's get into speaker upgrades. This is stuff that I really enjoy. These little speakers that come in are easy to work on. They're easy to tweak, and it doesn't take a lot of time, but it's interesting. I enjoy doing these. This one was the Paradigm Reference Studios 20. It's an older model, but it was worth doing something to. Let's look at the way they mount these drivers. I'm not thrilled about the way they mount these drivers. If you take the grill off, this rough edges around the drivers cause significant diffraction, and it really disrupts the response. However, the grill is made in such a way that it kind of fits around this stuff and flushes the stuff off, so it actually measured better with the grill on than with the grill off. So all the subsequent measurements that I took were with the grill on, and all the design work that I did to improve it, all done with the grills on. Now, let's take a look at what this thing looked like. Oh, before we do that, let's also look at the guts on this thing. Ooh, man. I know they call this their signature model, but there's nothing signature about the parts they use in this. These are the cheapest, cheesiest parts you can buy. The nuts on the binding posts are steel. The tabs on all the resistors, those are steel. I mean, you never want ferrous parts in the signal path. And electrolytic caps, iron core inductors. I mean, they're building these things to price point and to maximize profit. This isn't designed to be an actual reference speaker, even though it says that in the name, or a studio speaker for that matter. But it is what it is. So let's look at how it measured. And let's start off with looking at just the on-axis frequency response. We can see that it's pretty imbalanced. The tweeter level is about 4.5 dB lower than the woofer level. And if we look at the crossover response there, we see it sums pretty well at the crossover point. Just a low tweeter output, If we look at the vertical off-axis, we see there's a little bit of a dipped area there as we go up, but it's not bad. We look at the horizontal off-axis, we see the driver's responses in the off-axis are pretty decent. The impedance is a little mismatched. It's a little higher on the tweeter end than it is on the woofer end. It dips to, on the woofer side, it dips to 5 ohms. I'm sorry, I think that's 6 ohms. It dips to 6 ohms. Sorry, I'm reading the fine print. And if we look at the spectral decay, it looks reasonably clean. There's not any extraordinarily bad ringing or resonance problems going on there. So I thought, well, you know what? It's got some decent bones to it. I can work with this. Let's see what I can do with it. So this thing came out, and this was broken when it showed up. So I put another cup that I had in stock that fit the hole into the back of it, so I could take some measurements on that thing, and started designing something new. Let's do some comparison. I like doing these comparisons. Let's look at the new frequency response versus the old frequency response, and take a look at how now it's much smoother. And let's look at the crossover response with the new upgrade, and then the crossover response of the original. And you can see the drivers are now balanced, and I did some things with the filter that shifted phase a little bit so that they would be in phase over a wider range, and that helped out quite a bit as well. Let's look at vertical off-axis. Let's look at the new measurements and then the stock measurements. As you can see with the crossover that I designed for it, as you move up vertically, it maintains a consistent response over a really wide range. So it's much more even room response now than what it was. Looking at the horizontal off-axis also, let's look at the new and the after, and you can see that even after you move horizontally off-axis, it still maintains a really consistent response over a wide range. So it turned out really well. I'm not a big fan of these drivers. It's a little polycone. It's a metal cone tweeter. You know, I'm a paper cone kind of guy. I like softer domes, things like that. But overall, though, the response is good. It's nice and balanced now all over. Spectral decay is about like it was. It's still clean, but you can tell it's balanced now when we look at the old spectral decay and the new spectral decay. And if we look at the impedance, I adjusted the resistors that I used in it so that it was more balanced also, looking at the old impedance and the new. Also, there was so much polyfill stuffed in this thing that the port was virtually non-effective. So I fixed that. We pulled a little bit out and made a clear path to the port and made it a little more effective. Let's look at the crossover parts that come in the upgrade. I did kind of a budget upgrade on this one. Since it's an older speaker, it's kind of a budget level speaker. I tried to figure out how cheap can I do an upgrade on this and still fix everything. So used all the coils from US Coils, all AirCore 16 gauge, high purity copper, and I used all the JB poly caps on this thing. And another little tweak, a little trick, is to use these really good bypass caps that I had made for us, and bypass the caps in the tweeter circuit with these smaller bypass caps. And what that does is it helps discharge stored energy in the bigger cap, and it makes it faster and cleaner, and it's a really cheap way of getting there. It's just inexpensive to add a bypass cap to a good poly cap instead of going straight to a Sonacap, which can be, in this case, it might push the upgrade so far past the cost of the speaker that a lot of guys just wouldn't go for it. The other thing is these binding posts are horrible. You're definitely going to need a set of tube connectors, and you can replace one of the sets of binding posts with tube connectors. Just remove all of this crap off of here and just use the cup. You can, if you'd like, you can parallel one of the old sets of binding posts to the tube connectors. You can use either or. Tube connectors, though, are going to sound a lot better. We're going to throw in some high quality 4/9 pure copper and polyethylene internal connecting wire. All that comes to $260. So it's an inexpensive upgrade. It's going to be a big improvement in clarity, detail, imaging, room response. It's going to be more even, the whole everything. If you want to add a sheet of no-res to this thing and help stiffen up the cabinet a little bit, it's $59, of course, for a sheet of no-res. And if you want to take this to a really high level, if you want to put all Sonacaps in the tweeter circuit, and there's 3 caps there in the tweeter circuit, it's going to cost another $249. to do that, and you can actually take this thing to a pretty high level and enjoy this great little speaker. And it's a good introduction to a DIY upgrade. For you guys that have never done something like this before, this would be a good one to get your feet wet. If you have one of these, all the parts fit neatly on a little board. You can slide through the woofer hole and mount in the bottom of the box. So that's it for this little upgrade. I appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video.